I am
And I am a young
black.
A young black.
Young
A young black
Black equestrian.
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 black equestrian.
Equestrian.
Black equestrian.
equestrian.
Black equestrian.
I'm a young black equestrian.
I am a young black equestrian.
All right.
How are you guys doing?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. This is really great, you guys. I think this is a wonderful idea. So glad I stumbled upon it, and
We're glad we stumbled upon you.
Yes. Ooh, that horse in the background.
I know,
Yeah,
right?
great. So this is a house that I'm renting in South Carolina near Aiken.
Oh, okay.
So I come down here in the winter time we'll get into it, but I don't want to give it all away.
Okay. We'll wait.
So,
Yes.
welcome to Young Black Equestrian
Thank you.
TV. We're really happy to have you here, and you are literally like one of the first people. You know, when we start talking to people in the horse industry, it's kind of like, you know, either older people or some people that are like, yeah, I'm just now getting on social media, yada yada. But you are already like website done, you know. You got something going on in the tech world, and it's hard to find horse people with horses and tech at the same time.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah.
So I'm super excited to have you on
Well,
today.
that's good. I'm glad to be a first, one of many firsts that I have been in my time, especially in the horse world.
Yeah.
Right.
So let's just get started with, you know, introducing yourself.
Okay.
Tell us briefly, you know, your background and the horses you have and all those fun things.
Sure. It's Tracey Turner, and I have been involved with horses. Well, let me start with where I'm from. So I'm from New Jersey originally, which, believe it or not, the part I was from is very much horse country and still is, although it's definitely competing with, real estate development and all that sort of thing, because it is called the Garden State for a reason. The ground is really great for growing things, but that means it's also really easy to put houses up on it and flat and all of that. So what made it also very good horse country is also making it very good for housing. And it's the area where I'm from is kind of a suburb to New York City now. I mean, it's about an hour and change away, but still people are moving out there. So anyway, I got into horses at a very young age. I think I went to a county fair with my parents, and I had a pony ride, and that was it.
That was it.
That was it. I was 40 years old, and there was a local guy, interestingly, an African-American guy who taught horseback riding in our area. He had been a polo groom. His name was Congo Jones, great name. And he taught lessons at this farm not too far away from us. And so I kept asking my parents after the pony ride every day, am I 4.5 yet? Am I 4.5 yet? Because he would only take kids starting at 4.5.
Oh.
So once I started, I basically never stopped. And so I took lessons with him. And then as a teenager, I went back to the farm and got a job there mucking stalls, and made some lifelong friends, and actually got my first horse from there as well. They were actually developing that property. They tore all the barns down. They were building houses, and they were about to do that. And the fellow who owned the property asked if a friend of mine wanted this horse that named Buddy, a buckskin quarter horse, great horse. And she said, well, I already have a horse, but my friend Tracey might take it. And by then I had moved, I was married and had moved to New Hampshire. And so I didn't have my first horse until I was an adult, but had lots of opportunities to ride horses at that farm throughout the years that I worked there. And so had that as my first horse, and I was just thinking trail riding, you know, fun stuff, felt good, and did that for many, many years. And then this is kind of a funny story too. I went into the feed store on my lunch break, and an old lady came in there. She was pretty old, really old, and she said to the clerk, "I'm looking for a buggy whip." And I thought, I want to be looking for a buggy whip when I'm her age. So I said, I got to learn how to drive. So I went from riding, and I'd always loved the fjord horses. So I knew of a farm that sold fjords, and I made arrangements to go there. Ended up with a yearling fjord. Probably wasn't the best thing in the world, but it turned out well. And I had a neighbor who helped me train her to drive, and that's how I've sort of gotten into driving, a whole nother avenue. So I still ride, not yet too old to ride, but
well, good.
But I'm doing driving, and I'm doing that competitively, which is what brings me part of the year, the winter months, down to South Carolina, so I can continue to practice my craft.
Wow. I did not know that when I reached out to you. I don't think I knew that at all.
I didn't know that.
Full of surprises. That is pretty
I
cool.
am.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you answered the next
All the questions.
All of them in one.
Yeah, well, yeah. So what is your day job?
I work for a insurance brokerage firm, and I've worked in healthcare really all my career. First at a managed care company, then at an insurance company, and then this is kind of how I got into the tech side of things. I went to a startup that was a healthcare technology startup. Back when people were just beginning to use computers to do things like look up information about their insurance and that kind of thing. And now it has evolved much beyond that, where people are actually enrolling in their benefits online, getting advice from, computers about what things to buy and that sort of thing. So I was in a startup that was doing that. And that's really how I came to the idea of One Source Horse. Was we're always trying to get medical data and keep medical data on our own health and what we're doing, and and it's a challenge in the industry still to have all of that information, medical records and information in one place.
Yeah.
So, when you go to the doctor, like, well, you always have to fill out these forms about what medications you're on and what, things you've had, any illnesses you've had in the past, your family history. And you're like, I don't remember all that. How do you keep track of it? And that's a challenge for us. And it was literally because of my day job and wrestling with those kinds of things for people that made me think the same thing with horses, where I'm sure, I don't know about you, but I have had lots of files and folders and books and things with all their vaccinations and when they're due. And
oh yeah, I got a binder.
Yep. So instead of a binder, I thought it would be great to be able to do this and aggregate all this information in a single place. So when you're able to go into the site, you'll see the kinds of information you can keep on your horses.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing right now.
Pictures included. Yeah, all of their, their veterinarians, any other professionals that you work with on them, as well as keeping track of your lessons, the thing I least like to keep track of, but it's in there, is an expense tracker.
Mhm.
How
Oh,
much
man.
money I spend.
I don't know. I don't know if I want to really
Right?
see it.
So yeah, all those things, and then one of my favorite things is what's called the tack room, where you can list all the things in your tack room, and then also, more importantly, if you've loaned it to anyone, who
Oh,
you loaned it to, when you loaned it to them, and so you can remember to get it
I
back
went
from them.
deeper into the site.
Yeah,
What's that?
that is hilarious.
That is really, really good. I could see that, being beneficial to a lot of equestrians. How long did
Yeah.
it take you to build it?
Probably the better part of a year. I worked with a development team and a couple of friends of mine who are also horse people, and to come up with the ideas and to figure out what we wanted as our first kind of version of it. And I'm actually currently working on a second version, but even more, an app. Exactly. That's
I saw you mention that. I was like, yes.
Yes, it needs an app. So that's where we are right now. Because if it's really going to be useful to people, it has to be with them on their phones, on the go, all the time. And then I have, and it's you can get it on your phone, but it's not mobile enabled. So it's really small, and you've got to kind of increase the size of things. But I was on my way down here, and we stopped at a place overnight, and the guy said, "Oh, before you take your horse off the trailer, I need to see your coggins." And usually I have it printed out in the pocket of my truck, in the truck, but it wasn't in there. So I'm like, "Oh gosh, where is it? Where is it?" And I'm like, "Wait, I know."
Yeah.
I called up the site, and there it was, because I'd uploaded it on the site. It was all good. So
Totally convenient.
it is convenient.
That is pretty awesome. I'm looking at it right now, and I mean, it's got everything you said. Like, everything is. Oh wow. Okay, it's got like a whole calendar, like, and color coding by whether or not you had an acupuncturist, chiropractic, you did a clinic, you had a competition, farrier, like, come on now.
That is really cool. And I'm pretty sure there's nothing like that aside from having pen and paper.
Yes. There is nothing. There's nothing like this that exists, I'm sure. That is pretty awesome. So
I haven't found, I mean, there are other people doing other aspects, but not quite as in-depth as this. And then my goals for the future are to be even more of an aggregator of other things. So to have like, map my ride kind of access from here, so that you can, it's truly, I want it to be an aggregation site. So you could have other things on there that you can access and only have to go to one place.
yes.
So that requires single sign-on and all kinds of stuff like that. But that's the goal.
Wow.
We could teach the 4-H kids how to use it.
Yeah, we sure can.
For their horse project.
We could do the whole horse project on.
Yeah.
Okay, I need to write that down, or I'm not gonna remember. But that's you exactly right. Okay, so let's get I could just ask you so many questions. So let's roll back some, because I'm so excited about this website.
Sure.
And just talk about your horse journey, your equestrian journey. What challenges did you face as a minority? I know you said you had a Black trainer in New Jersey, but I'm sure, your counterparts were not the same always. So what were some of the major challenges that you faced coming up in the horse industry?
Well, I mean, I really thought about that question a lot, and I couldn't really think of any, except for perhaps a lack of exposure to what was possible. Though I think I even went to when they used to have the National Horse Show in New York City.
Mm-hmm.
I think I went to that, but somehow I didn't see myself as a person who would do that. So, and it wasn't that my parents weren't encouraging, they were very encouraging of the whole thing, but they just didn't know what was possible either. I think as a kid, I did one little show that they had at the farm, because it was right there, and I borrowed this horse and I rode in it. But, if anything would have kept me back from those days, it was that they probably couldn't have afforded to have me, doing shows and going to the shows everywhere, and no way to, and I didn't have a horse that, so it was more that, not that I was a minority. And then even when I moved to New Hampshire and started getting into driving, the only thing I found is that I was the only one, the only minority involved in the sport. And I still find that I haven't met too many other drivers who do the kind of driving I do. I think there are people in the park horse world, but I'm in the combined driving. I do combined driving.
What does that mean?
And combined driving is like 3-day eventing for carriages. So you have 3 events. The first is dressage, so like 3-day eventing is dressage. And the second one is marathon, and that's the equivalent of cross country in eventing. And so you go a longer distance, maybe 10 kilometers, maybe more than that, 10, 12 kilometers. And they have obstacles that you have to navigate through every so many kilometers. So there might be 5 or 6 different obstacles with A, B, C, D, E gates, and depending upon the level you're driving at, you have to either go through A, B, and C, or A, B, C, D, and the higher up in the levels you go, the more gates you have to go through. So you have to figure out your route through these things and try to do it as fast as you can. And then the third event is cone course, where they set up 20 sets of cones with little tennis balls like on top of them. And they're not in a straight line, they're all over the place. So you have to walk that course as well. It's kind of like the equivalent of the jump course in 3-day eventing, the stadium jumping. So you have to go through the cones also for speed and accuracy and not hitting the cones, which would knock the balls off, and you get points deducted for that. So it's a really fun sport. It's exciting.
Really fun. I don't know that I've ever seen like dressage performed with a carriage on the back.
I haven't either.
Yeah, I'll send you a link to a video about it that is so, every time I watch it, I still get kind of emotional. It's just so beautiful. And so I drive a pony. It's a German riding pony. So I'm in the single pony division, but there's single horse, then there's pairs. Some people drive pair of horses, and then the really top people will drive 4-in-hand. So they'll drive 4 horses in dressage, 4 horses through the obstacles.
That is funny. I know. I just watched a video of, is that like when it's the person driving, they have someone sitting beside them and there's somebody on the back?
There's 2 on the back when it's 4 horses.
Oh, okay.
For me, I just have 1 navigator on the back. And you may have seen the FEI championships that were in Europe, and they're in an arena.
That's the video I saw.
Arena driving, and that's crazy. That is just crazy.
That was
nonstop.
Insane. That gave me so much anxiety.
Yeah.
Like, ooh.
I know.
But that's amazing that literally someone with their hands. I mean, even a single pony. I have so much anxiety about being in a carriage looking at
Yeah.
this horse's butt as
Right.
as they're going. Like, I
know.
I don't
I
know.
know. When I first started, I used to move my legs around in the carriage and like, they're no good here. They're no good. But now I am at a state. I almost remember the moment when I became as comfortable in the carriage as I am on the back of a horse. And because at first, as a rider, you just feel like you've got no control because you're so far away from the horse's head. But that's why your voice is a big part of it. You have a whip, and you're not, whipping them like they do in the movies. It replaces your leg. It's like you touch them on the side because you want them to move away or bend, curve around. So it's a whole different set of tools that you use in driving.
What does the navigator do that's on the back?
What does the navigator do?
Uh-huh.
They do two very important jobs. One is they serve as ballast. So when you go around the curves really fast, they have to be on the side of the carriage to keep the carriage from turning over.
Mhm.
So that's one of their jobs. And then the other job is to, sort of help you remember where you're going. So they literally, sort of are your navigator. You have walked the course, but, it's a lot of things to remember. The driver is responsible for knowing, but sometimes the navigator can help you, to say, okay, you got to remember we're turning right over here or left over there. So, and then they also keep track of your time.
Mhm.
So there's certain kind of window of time you want to be in at every kilometer marker. So your navigator's keeping track of that, and you also have to go through what they call compulsory gates that are numbered to make sure that every single person does the same course and goes the same distance.
Right.
So they keep track of you're going through the gates, they keep track of your time, and when you're going through the obstacles, they have to move around on the carriage to make sure it doesn't turn over.
This sounds like a whole operation.
Yeah, like that.
It is.
I don't know which part I would want to do. Both of them give me anxiety.
I know. I really think the navigator's job is the harder job because they have
it's kinda harder.
The driver has to remember, but they just have to focus on that.
Wow.
So it's and that's the other reason I love it is because for memorization, like it really works your brain to have to remember your dressage test, remember your cone scores, and remember the marathon obstacles. It's a lot, and I love it.
So how do you go about like getting a cart and figuring out, like, so the horses or the horse you use, like they were trained already to use this cart? Like, are you having to train, what comes first, the cart or the horse?
You put the cart before the horse, right? So when I first started, again, the same thing as when I got my first horse. I was just planning on being that little old lady going down the road in a cart and enjoying the scenery. And so I got this yearling, and I don't recommend that people who haven't ever driven before get a yearling to plan to drive it. But I did have this wonderful neighbor who had trained harness horses for the racetrack down the road, and he was thrilled to help me. And we ground drove, and we did all kinds of, all the basic work. And I'd actually trained, I had Alaskan malamutes that I trained to pull a sled too, so I kind of had experience training something to pull something. Yeah. So I used a lot of the same kinds of techniques, and just with a horse. And so I got her driving and riding, and she was fabulous, really great. She's still with someone now on free lease who's riding her mostly. But she was a great horse for me because she was very forgiving. You know, like you could make mistakes and she'd be like, okay, whatever, and just not super reactive. The horse I have now is it's like going from a Ford Fairlane to a Porsche. I mean, he's very competitive, and that's why I went to the next horse when I decided I wanted to be more competitive in this sport. I needed a different horse. She's in her 20s now anyway, so it wasn't fair to ask her, and it's just not the best breed for that kind of competition. They're a heavier breed, and you need something that's much more agile and athletic. And so that's why I made the switch. And he had been trained to drive, so he wasn't new to it, but he hadn't really been in competitions before. So he was new to that. Okay. And we're working on it. We're working on it. But
cool.
and that's again the thing I decided, because of my job. I don't have kids, and because my job, I work from home in New Hampshire. One day I said, you know what? If I can work from home here, I can work from home anywhere.
Anywhere,
and,
yes. Goals. I am trying to get on your level.
Where there's no snow and I can keep driving all year round. So, I found there's this great community of drivers in Windsor, South Carolina, which is 10 miles from Aiken. And there's so many. It's the horse person's mecca, I'll tell you. It's really great. And so this is my second year coming down for the winter.
Wow.
Awesome.
In these competitions, are there money prizes?
Not, are there any money prizes in it? I think there is in that arena driving thing at the FBI level, but at the ones I'm at, no, unfortunately. That's what we need to get to really get more people to do it, is money. But no, we just get ribbons and,
well, a lot of shows. A lot of shows are only doing ribbons, so that is all right.
I just want to know. Because you know how, like, in rodeos it's different. And
rodeos have money in them.
Right. I think driving should be a rodeo sport.
Right. It sounds like a rodeo sport.
I want to see driving at stadium driving at Bill Pickett, okay? That would be out of this world.
We'll work on that. That would be great. Because it's like it's like the chuck wagon races they have up in Calgary. I think it's Calgary, right? I bet there's money in that. And it's now for us, you're not on the course when other people are on it, or they're ahead of you or behind you, but it's not like a head-to-head race.
Right.
It's
right.
It's they take your time. They figure out your time and then combine all three of your scores to get the winning time or winning person.
Yeah. Are you part of like an association, like where you get like your high points awards and stuff?
They do that, and I think they mostly do it for like hours driven. There is an award for that. So they get the American Driving Society, and they do hours driven. But they do have more, I think, in breed shows, high point awards. So I know the Morgan people have a lot of that kind of stuff. I'm actually not in a German riding pony society. I should look it up and see if there is something like that. But I know the Morgan people do.
That's awesome. That just blows my mind.
Yeah. And do you have any videos that we can watch of you? Has anybody recorded you?
Do I have any?
Yeah,
I could send you a couple of those. In the winter time, before I decided to come down here, I would do sleighing too. I have a really great picture of us doing a sleigh rally, which was a show with sleighs even.
Yeah,
So,
I'm gonna need
there are all
that.
kinds of crazy things he's driving people. That's how I said I started getting into combined driving. I said I started hanging around with a bad crowd, and the next thing I knew, I had like a bunch of carriages, and looking for a navigator, and
It sounds like a healthy habit.
it is. I
Healthy
think
habit.
that's what I tell my husband every time he, says, "How much money are you spending on these things?" I think I could have worse habits. I could like shoes.
Right.
Right.
Has he ever been with you while you were driving? Like at any time?
He comes with me sometimes, but not in the shows. It would be bad to have him on the back.
Not in the
in a car. You say, slow down.
Yeah, that's crazy. How fast do you go? Does your navigator like keep miles per hour?
That's a good question. We've never tracked that. I should try to figure that out because it can get going pretty fast. And I'm at so there's training level is the first level. I'm at prelim, which is the second level. Then there's intermediate and then advanced. So I've got 2 levels up to go, and those folks go quite fast.
Wow. Who like does the maintenance on your cart? Like, are you kind of doing the whole operation, like making sure all the cart tack is together?
Yeah, I do that. My husband has helped me with a few adjustments that we've had to make on various things. But yeah, the carriage that we use in the competition is a 4-wheel carriage. Mostly these carriages these days are made in Poland, and so they get imported over here, and they've got disc brakes, suspension.
Okay.
They're quite technical, high tech. They're not like the Amish buggy you see going down the road.
That's what's in my mind.
Right. That's what I'm picturing. Like clicking along. Like just.
No, these things are quite fancy. I'll send you a couple pictures.
Yeah.
And then I have a 2-wheel cart, a metal one. And then I have a wooden 2-wheel cart. When it's 2 wheels, they usually call that a cart.
Okay.
4 wheels is a carriage, and a sleigh.
That is.
Do you know how much they weigh? Because I can only imagine.
Yeah, the carriage, the competition one is about 350 pounds.
Wow. Oh, that's not bad. I was thinking like into the 1,000. I don't know why.
No.
Like that is a strong pony. I know, that's a strong pony.
For the 4 horses, for the 4 in hand, those carriages probably weigh quite a bit more.
Right.
And they're bigger.
Okay. So cool. Oh my God.
I know, this is so cool.
What is the name of your pony, your current pony, driving pony?
His name is Chardonnay.
Okay, fancy.
and he's very fine. And so people say, "Oh, what's her name? What's her name?" And I say, "It's a him." And they say, "Oh, what's his name?" And I go, "Chardonnay." so I call him Cooper, which is because the Coopers are the people who make wine barrels.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of a wine reference, and his is a breed where they name the first letter of their name that tells you what year they were born. So he's in a C year, 2009. So he's got a C name.
That's cool. That's cool. I didn't even know that was a rule.
Fjords are the same. My Fjord is Solgard. She was born in an S year.
Wow.
It's a good way to keep track of that.
Yeah. And I guess somebody could try to change the name. Well, not like on registration papers, but that's a great way to prevent people from lying to you.
Yeah.
About age. Learn something new every day.
You do.
So
with horses.
Yes. switch back to the website.
Yes, let's to your questions, because I'm all prepared for them.
Yeah. So, I mean, you told us, how this came about, but what, like, how do you even know how to pull something like this together? Like, does it require a whole lot of finances? I mean, obviously you have people to help you, but what was that experience like pulling all this together?
Yeah.
And get it out there.
Yeah. First, it was just, getting the ideas down on paper. And then I did work with a web developer, and they had a lot of offshore resources, which brought the cost down significantly, but still there was a cost to it, which I financed myself, So, and that's probably something I should do more work on, is trying to get other funding to be able to do more things, because it is an expense to do it. But we wanted to get something up and usable, and also make it initially free, which it still is free, for people to use, and then monetize it, which is the next big step, to add things and to give people additional levels that they can and capabilities they can purchase for adding more horses or whatever the other things.
Right. Wow, that sounds like a good plan, for sure. So these people, your team, are they staff members? Like, do you have to create a business to do something like this?
I have created a business, and they're not staff. They're really just friends who are helping. None of us are getting paid at this point, but that's kind of, hopefully the reward is down the road when it really takes off. So that's how we've done it. But I'm, the CEO and chief bottle washer, all those things, and then my technical person there, Rich Peterson, is probably the one who is the most instrumental in the ongoing efforts right now.
That is super cool.
I'm glad you had the idea and acted on it, because this is so good.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm super excited. So is there a way to integrate, say a business owner, a barn manager, has this resource for the barn, but the horse owner wants to get access to it. Do you see what I'm saying? Is that capability?
Absolutely. I mean, that's a lot of what we were planning for, is to be able to share the information. So as long as the barn owner is also a member, they can share information back and forth. And then if you sold a horse, for example, and you wanted to share the records that you kept with them, you could share the records that you kept. Another really cool feature is you could do, if you're going to a show or to anywhere, or someone's going to be taking care of your horse, you can go into that profile and just click the pieces of information you want to share. So while I have in there for my horse, I have,
you can share your profile. I see.
I have his name, all the stuff, but also I have what I paid for him, but I don't want to share that with everybody. So I don't click that box. I just click my name, my phone number, what he eats, what size blanket he wears, if he has insurance, and who to call for a vet emergency. So I can just indicate which information I want to print out or email to someone to share it.
Adriana sent me this long email when she went out of town, and I was watching her horses.
Right.
And it had all of that.
Exactly.
Well, you know what? I put everything in there. Like, if I don't come back, this is exactly what I need.
Everything.
I do. And I mean, honestly, so my veterinarian passed away, and it was a struggle to, I mean, I don't have the exact dates of the things that I have gotten done in the last 6 years. Like, I don't have exact dates. I mean, I've got my like folders and things, but I've restarted these folders like several times. Yeah. So something like this would definitely, you know, prevent me from being in that situation, because I had to get like the person who was over his estate to even tell me if I had a rabies vaccine done on my pony. And I was like, horses don't get rabies tags. So I'm like, did I do it? Did I not? I can't tell from the amount that I paid whether or not it included a rabies. Right. So this is definitely solves a problem for the horse industry. And I think it does. A lot of people, you know, they want to start businesses and they have all these ideas, and that's how you have to do it. You have to solve a problem. Yeah. So this is amazing.
Well, yeah. So I don't know if you can see this, but can you see that? So there
tilt it down a little bit.
Is that better?
A little bit better. I can see the picture. Do you have videos on there too?
Yeah, you can put video on as well.
Wow.
And then let's see. Well, anyway, you'll see. When you get on there, you'll see.
Yeah, I'm on here. I'm excited.
I'll have to look after we hang up.
Yes. Yeah, you can, you know, put how many, like literally all their descriptions, brands, tattoos. You can put their pedigree, their dam and their sire in there. All this extra information. This is just simply amazing.
And I would, once as you get in there and play around, I'd love your feedback on other things that you think should be in there.
Yeah, I'm literally gonna tell
group as a feedback group.
Yes, 100% yes. And I know, so it's so hard because we have so many great interviews, and we're like, okay, so who's going out? But this is definitely, I think, one of the ones that we need to put out sooner, just so that our listeners can utilize this resource and you know, benefit from it sooner rather than in a month from now or 2 months from now. So
this is really dope.
I am just super excited about this. So what advice would you give an aspiring equestrian who wants to do something like you're doing?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's what's that?
I said, especially the driving part.
Right.
Oh, right. A couple of things. I would really suggest that they enter shows, what I didn't do as a kid, and then I'm having to learn now as a grown-up. It really makes you practice and try to improve. I mean, it wasn't really until I really decided I wanted to focus on it that I said, okay, I have to do things in my life. I also read a book by Denny Emerson, which I recommend, but I have to do things, make changes in my life to put me in the right position to be able to accomplish those goals. So I think, you know, depending upon how serious you decide you want to be, you need to see how to make those changes. And it doesn't really necessarily require money. It requires putting yourself in front of people who might take an interest in you, give you horses to ride. I mean, I was at that farm riding and mucking salt. That's mostly what I was doing.
Mhm.
And a guy's daughter, who guy had a pony for himself and his daughter, and she was going off to college, and he would let me ride her horse. And one cold morning, he came to the barn, and I was getting ready to ride, and I was blowing on the bit to warm it up before I put it in the horse's mouth. And he saw me, and he said, "You can ride that horse anytime you want." And it was as if it was my horse
Yeah.
for the rest of the time I was there. And it's so, just being kind and being friendly and thoughtful and all those kinds of things can really give you opportunities that you may not otherwise have. So, I mean, I've never really had to own a horse until I was an adult because I had access to horses at the farm.
Right.
And so what I also think that entering shows does is that it makes you practice. It helps you sort of get over the nerves that come from performance, just like any other performance, I suppose. But the younger you start doing that, the better at it you become.
Mm-hmm.
And so that when you get more serious in your riding or driving or whatever your sport is, then you've already kind of got a way to handle the nerve part. You're
Right.
over that.
Right.
Just like when you learn to ride as a kid, you're not nervous about it when you're an adult. You're just like, oh yeah, that's what I do. And
Mhm.
if you're doing shows, it's just, that's what you do. And then I think the third thing it does that's really important is it teaches you time management.
Mhm.
So for in the ridden disciplines, I mean, of course, it depends on how much warm up any one person's horse needs. But in driving, I mean, there's a lot of hitching up, and then you have to dress for dressage in this outfit. Got a hat and all kinds of stuff.
Oh.
And so it takes, and then you've got to warm up, you've got to, prepare. So all of those things, it teaches you how to work backwards from when you want to be, when you're going into the ring and be ready to get into the ring. And I think those are good disciplines to learn for all of us.
Yeah. And I think even like going to shows, especially when you're first starting out, helps with the being able to talk to people that you don't know, and the whole networking thing. Like a lot of people don't like talking to, introducing themselves, or somebody drops something, you're like, hey, let me help you, whatever, or somebody doing that for you. A lot of people, if they start out when they're older or when they're adults, they're kind of like, okay, this is, I just know my team, and I'm not familiar with everything else. So I completely agree with that advice for sure.
Yeah. And that was something in the book by Denny Emerson called How Good Riders Get Good. And he says, we're not in the people business. We're not in the horse business. We're in the people business. And that is really true. As exactly what you said, of just being, helpful, or talking to people gets you into gets you a lot of opportunities that you wouldn't have. I wouldn't be here in South Carolina if I hadn't been friendly with people who have houses down here, who invited me to come and check it out for 2 weeks and bring my horses and stay in their apartment above the garage. And, and that was just them being nice and me being, I'm very grateful. And here I am.
Yeah, that is awesome. So tell everybody your website name again and where we can find you guys on your social medias and stuff.
Sure. The site is onesourcehorse.com, no spaces. And we're on Facebook and less on Twitter, but we do have Twitter. This may inspire me to do more there, and maybe talk about where we're going to be and what kind of events we're doing. We do sponsor shows when we can. We're sponsoring a show down here again this year called Small But Mighty, and it's for people who drive minis, miniature horses with carriages. There are a lot of them. And I think as the population gets older, we'll see more of that, because who wants to have to lift your arms up really high to put a harness on a big horse? My horse is the perfect size for me. He's 14, 1.5. And that's, I started with ponies because I wanted to do it when I was too old to ride, right? So I didn't want to have a big horse.
Yeah.
So I had to manage. So yeah, so that's where we can be found. And I encourage and invite everyone to check out One Source Horse and sign up while it's free, and get it on the ground floor, right?
Yeah,
Sign up right now.
Yeah. You know, what is the smallest mini you've seen pull something? Because I swear mine is too small. He's too small to work.
Oh, what are they like? I'm not a good judge of that, but they can do a lot more than you think.
Huh?
It's just your baby.
Well,
Put
yeah.
that mini to work. Put it to work.
He does work. He gets
Need a
petted.
job. All of them need a job.
He has a job. He visits old people and kids. That's his job, to not poop on the floor when I take him inside of a building.
I have a friend who does that with her mini, and she also drives them. So sorry. You can't get out of it.
Well, you know what? You know, I just have to work on trusting this mini with my life, because I just feel like he's gonna like
train it.
and hang a rein, and I'm gonna just be toppled out. Like,
Oh my gosh.
That can happen too.
I'm gonna just jump out. Like, I'll hit one bump and I would just jump out. I don't, like, that's what I would do.
No, it's you do have, even the minis, you have to train them. It's not like, you can just jump in there behind them. They need training just like a big horse does.
I just need to ride with somebody a lot. Like,
You have to tell Katrina. Hers is almost there.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. It's just a matter of getting in the carriage, and it's so fun. And that's the other nice. I mean, you can ride with people, sure, but if you have a friend who doesn't ride, it's nice to be able to take them in the carriage and go for a drive.
Mm-hmm.
It's really fun.
Yeah.
So as much as I like the competition, I like just going down the road too.
Right. I just. Yeah. That would be funny. That would be funny because my mini looks like my big horse. So somebody is riding on the big horse and then the mini's pulling somebody. That would be hilarious. Oh my God.
I know. I have a 17 three-hand thoroughbred that looks like my German riding pony. So I call them Me and Mini Me.
Mm-hmm.
I guess they're
Well, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to talk with us. I am so excited to share this resource with our people because they just don't know what they're missing at this point. They don't know.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And I listened to one of your podcasts recently with, what is his name? R.L.
Robert. Mm-hmm.
Robert. Yes, and that was fascinating, and I'm going to reach out to him. So thanks for that.
He just became the finance director for the 100 Jumper Association in Kentucky. Yeah.
100 Jumper. That's
So reach out to him. Yes.
Yeah, because for help with the marketing for One Source Horse and all that. So.
Yeah,
so that's very exciting, and thanks for making these connections for us.
Definitely, that's what this is for.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
Thanks. You too.
Bye.
Thanks so much for watching YBEtv. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel to see more of our content. Rate, review us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify. See you guys next week.